A big reason why modern movies are made this way is, of course, time, which equals money. If you do it digitally, you can get more tries to get it right, like when we blew people up. Just to set up a dummy and rig with explosives takes an hour and a half. You could shoot a lot more stuff in 90 minutes if you do the explosions in post. And with practical explosions, you get one try, maybe two. The time to reset these things just kills you. So, for example, when Megan's leg blows up, the leg was supposed to fall over, but since it never did, we just had to cut away from it sooner. And as mentioned before, going practical affects your whole schedule. Blowing those dummies up got blood everywhere and destroyed our set, so we had to save it for the very end of the shoot. I kept the guestbook prop from the movie, and it's covered in blood from the exploding bodies. We also had to build the set raised and installed plumbing to get all the blood out of there. If we had done the explosions in post, we wouldn't have had to do any of those things. And for something like Megan's face getting bloodier and bloodier, the way we did it, waiting for each makeup stage, took a long time. If we had just added the wounds digitally, it would have been many times faster. This is a huge reason why so much is done with digital effects. But another big reason why films aren't as practical anymore is safety. Back in the day, if you wanted something on screen, you basically just had to do it for real and film it. If someone was on wires, the wires had to be thin enough where they barely showed up on film. Now you can have thick cables and harnesses and do things a lot more safely because you just paint it out. But people still get hurt every now and then. After doing this stunt in Shazam 2, the stuntman needed to get staples in his head. I asked the stunt team what went wrong, and they were like, well, nothing went wrong. It's just what sometimes happens when you throw people into glass. For the breaking glass in Until Dawn, it was shot in 2 passes. You shoot just the glass breaking, then just the guy, and you put it together. Much safer. When Clover is dragged on the ground, she was wearing pads underneath her clothes, but they also had to put down this really soft dirt on the ground for safety. It didn't look anything like the gravel that was supposed to be there though, so that had to be fixed with visual effects. Safety is taken extremely seriously on film sets. When Megan's head explodes, it's in front of other actors, so we were going to do that one with compressed air instead of actual explosives. But then, right before shooting, as they were preparing the fake head, they came to me and said, actually, we don't think even compressed air will be safe enough. So that explosion is VFX. We still used compressed air to get some nice interaction on the actors.
And 3, 2, 1, back!
Until Dawn was a little too ambitious for its budget. This, in combination with other factors, meant that a lot of things had to change or be improvised on the day. Sometimes it worked out pretty well, like when they defeat Psycho. That fight was supposed to be shot like a normal scene with coverage, but we were so short on time that I figured there was just no way we'd be able to finish it. So I said, screw it, let's just do the fight as a oneer. And as a oneer, it has a certain energy that wasn't too bad. Another example is Max and the Clown Doll. That was supposed to be a very different scene. When Max was exploring that room, we were going to have possessed Clover crawling around on the ceiling. That's why we had all these holes in the ceiling with light coming through. Clover would attack him. They would have a fight where Max ripped off the mask and he would see Clover's possessed eyes. She would cut his throat, and the scene ended with Clover picking up her mask from a pool of blood. That's why in the next scene, there's a bloody handprint on the mask. We shot that scene first before we knew we would have to change the scene in the house. So we had to come up with a scene that we could shoot really quickly. Walking around on the set trying to come up with ideas, well, there was a rocking chair there. And, rocking chairs are pretty typical for supernatural horror movies. Let's do something with that. There was also this clown doll that was just supposed to be in the background, but we upgraded it to a starring role, and our production designer made it look more evil. The meat of the scene was captured in a oneer that just panned back and forth. I was standing just off screen so I could run in and move the rocking chair and put the clown in. So once we had that, we could use the remaining time to pick up some additional angles. The kill itself had to be off screen with just some blood hitting these dolls. A lot of times, I get a kick out of trying to be really efficient and do problem solving like that, but there comes a point where things just get too compromised. One example is a deleted scene in a garage. The original plan for the scene was they're chased by Wendigos. They run into a garage and close the door. They figure maybe they're safe, but then Max accidentally activates an electric Santa ornament. The Wendigo hears them, and now they start breaking into the garage. One Wendigo crawls underneath the door, but Max uses an emergency release and the door slams down and crushes the head of the Wendigo. Well, unfortunately, we were now not going to be able to have any Wendigos that day, and we had extremely limited time to shoot the scene. So we shot a version where we don't see any Wendigos. We just hear them outside the door, since that could be added in post. And since we weren't going to have time to shoot proper coverage, I just had them all run in and stand in a line. Then for close-ups, just pan the camera from person to person. There, coverage done. The problem, of course, was that this was now a nothing scene. It wasn't scary. There wasn't any Wendigo gore to enjoy. It didn't further the story or the characters. It did nothing. So we cut it. Things like this is one of the many challenges of being a director. Do you make the call to drop a scene early on so you don't waste any time on something that won't end up in the movie anyway? Or do you still take a chance and hope you're able to get the scene? It can be very tricky.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. Joblo remains an independent company, and we appreciate all of your support.